Cowboys Nation, stop everything you're doing right now because this whole trade-up narrative surrounding the Dallas Cowboys is falling apart piece by piece, and what I'm about to break down for you is going to completely change the way you look at this team heading into draft week. If you've been buying into the hype, if you've been believing every single mock draft that has Dallas jumping up to the number 6 pick, you need to hear this right now because the truth is way more complicated and way more interesting than what the mainstream media is feeding you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for daily Cowboys updates because this channel is where you get the real analysis, the stuff that goes beyond the surface level hot takes. Let's get into it. So here's the situation. For the past several weeks, maybe even longer, every single draft analyst, every single talking head, every single mock draft you can find online has been pushing one singular narrative about the Dallas Cowboys. They want to trade up. They want to package their 2 first-round picks. They want to leap from the 12th overall selection all the way up to the 6th pick, maybe even higher, to go grab a player like Caleb Diaz, Sonny Styles, or David Bailey. And on the surface, yeah, it sounds exciting. It sounds like the kind of bold, aggressive move that Cowboys fans have been begging this front office to make for years. Jerry Jones swinging for the fences. Stephen Jones wheeling and dealing. The Cowboys making a splash on draft night. That's the dream, right? But here's the problem, and I need you to really sit with this for a second. Something about this whole thing stinks. Something about this entire narrative does not add up. And the more you dig into it, the more you pay attention to the clues being dropped by actual insiders and people within the Cowboys organization, the more you realize that this trade-up scenario might be nothing more than smoke and mirrors. And I'm not just saying that to be contrarian. I'm saying that because the evidence is starting to pile up in a very real way. Let me paint the full picture for you. The Dallas Cowboys are sitting with the 12th and the 20th overall picks in this year's draft. That is an incredible amount of draft capital. 2 first-round selections gives you flexibility, it gives you options, it gives you the ability to address multiple needs on a roster that, let's be honest, has some significant holes, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now, the popular narrative being pushed by the national media is that Dallas should take those 2 picks, bundle them together, and move up to grab one player, in a draft that, by all accounts, does not have a generational transcendent talent at the very top outside of maybe 1 or 2 guys. Think about that for a second. You're going to give up 2 first-round picks in a draft where there isn't a consensus number 1 overall can't-miss franchise-altering prospect. And you're going to do it for a linebacker, a safety, or an edge rusher who doesn't even stop the run consistently. Does that sound like the Dallas Cowboys to you? Does that sound like something a smart front office would do? And here's what really gets me. Here's the part that has been driving me absolutely crazy. If the Dallas Cowboys were genuinely, truly, honestly trying to trade up in this draft, why in the world would they broadcast it to the entire planet? Think about this from a strategic standpoint. The NFL draft is one of the most competitive strategic events in all of professional sports. 32 teams are all trying to outsmart each other. 32 front offices are playing chess while trying to make everyone else think they're playing checkers. Information is currency. Secrecy is power. The teams that win on draft night are the teams that keep their plans close to the vest, that make their moves behind closed doors, that catch the rest of the league off guard. So why would the Dallas Cowboys, a franchise that has been in this league for over 60 years, a franchise that has one of the most experienced front offices in football, go out of their way to tell every reporter, every analyst, every insider in the business that they are actively trying to trade up? Why would they call the Saints, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Jets, the Titans, and have all of that information leak out to the public? Why would they essentially put a target on their own back and say, hey, we are desperate to move up, please come fleece us? It makes 0 sense. And I'll tell you what it does do. It drives up the price. The second every team in front of you knows you're desperate to trade up, the cost of trading up skyrockets. If you're the Cleveland Browns sitting at 6 and you know Dallas is dying to get to your spot, why would you give them a fair deal? You wouldn't. You'd squeeze every last drop of value out of them. You'd demand their 2 first-rounders plus a second-rounder plus maybe a player. And if other teams hear that Dallas wants to move up, those teams might call Cleveland too and try to outbid Dallas, further driving up the price and further destroying any leverage the Cowboys might have had. This is negotiation 101. You never reveal your hand before the cards are dealt. So either the Cowboys front office has completely lost its mind, or this trade-up narrative is not coming from Dallas at all. And that's exactly what the evidence is starting to suggest. Let me tell you about something that happened recently that I think is incredibly revealing. A well-known NFL insider, someone who has direct connections inside the Cowboys organization, was asked point blank whether he believes Dallas is going to trade up from 12 to 6. And you know what he said? He said no. He said flat out, no, I'm not buying it. And here's why his answer matters so much. He didn't just say no based on a gut feeling. He said he actually talked to people inside the Dallas Cowboys organization, people in their personnel department, people who are involved in the draft process. And what he was told was that the Cowboys feel very strongly that they can get contributing players at both of their first-round picks. Not just one pick, both picks, 12 and 20. And the people inside that building believe that the talent in this draft is deep enough that meaningful, impactful, roster-changing players will still be available at both of those selections. They don't feel like they need to mortgage everything to move up because they believe the depth of this draft allows them to get 2 quality starters or at minimum 2 players who can immediately contribute to the 2026 roster. Now think about how different that sounds compared to the narrative being pushed by the national media. The media is telling you Dallas is desperate to trade up. The people inside the Cowboys building are telling insiders that they feel great about their current draft position and the talent that will be available to them. Those two stories could not be more different. And when you have a direct contradiction like that, you have to ask yourself, who do I trust more? The media members who are speculating and generating clicks, or the actual people inside the organization who are doing the work, watching the film, running the scenarios, and building the draft board. And it gets even better because Stephen Jones himself, the executive vice president and chief operating officer of the Dallas Cowboys, essentially threw ice-cold water all over this trade-up narrative. When he was asked about the possibility of moving up in the draft, Stephen Jones gave an answer that I think was incredibly telling. He talked about how most trades in the draft happen organically, how they happen on the board in real time. A player you liked falls off the board and suddenly you're willing to trade back. A player you didn't think would still be there at a certain spot is somehow still available and you're tempted to move up a little bit. He specifically said, and I want you to hear this clearly, that you might not be willing to give up what it costs to go way up in the draft. Way up. He used those words, way up. And when every mock draft scenario involving the Cowboys has them going way up from 12 to 6 or higher, Stephen Jones basically telling you that's not something they're excited about doing. That's not something that aligns with their strategy. Now, some people might say, well, Stephen Jones is just playing coy. He's just throwing out smoke screens. He doesn't want to reveal the real plan. And to that I say, okay, fine. But then answer me this. If the Cowboys are smart enough to play coy in press conferences, why are they apparently dumb enough to tell every reporter in America that they're trying to trade up? You can't have it both ways. Either they're a savvy front office that knows how to keep secrets, in which case the trade-up leaks aren't coming from them, or they're a clumsy front office that can't keep anything quiet, in which case Stephen Jones's comments are probably genuine. Pick one. You can't have both. And here's the thing that really seals it for me. Look at the moves the Cowboys have made recently. Real moves. Not rumors, not speculation, actual trades that happened. When the Cowboys traded for Quinnen Williams from the Jets, did any of that leak before it was done? No. Nobody knew. Nobody had any idea that Dallas was in serious talks with New York for one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. The first time anyone heard about it was when the deal was already completed. When Micah Parsons got traded to the Packers, did that leak before it happened? No. That trade came out of nowhere and shocked the entire league. When George Pickens was acquired, did anyone know in advance that Dallas had been calling around to multiple teams trying to land a wide receiver? Not until after the trade was finalized. After the deal was done, then the details came out. Oh, the Cowboys called the Ravens too. Oh, they talked to this team and that team. But the actual trade itself? Complete silence until it was official. That's how real deals work in the NFL. That's how smart front offices operate. They make their calls, they do their negotiations, they finalize the deal, and then the world finds out about it. What's happening right now with this trade-up narrative is the complete opposite. Everybody knows about it. Everybody's talking about it. Every reporter and their mother has a source saying Dallas wants to move up, and yet somehow the trade hasn't happened yet. If it was as simple as the media is making it sound, if Dallas was truly ready and willing to package their picks and move up to 6, why hasn't the trade been executed already? The Browns are sitting right there. The phone lines work both ways. If both sides wanted to make this happen, it would have happened by now. But it hasn't. And that tells you everything you need to know. So what's really going on here? I'm going to tell you what I think is happening, and I want you to really consider this. This is a slow NFL offseason. There's no mega quarterback prospect that everyone is obsessing over. There's no generational wide receiver that's dominating the conversation. The top of this draft is filled with linebackers, safeties, and defensive players who, while very talented, don't exactly set the casual fan's heart on fire. It's hard to generate buzz around a draft where the most exciting prospect might be an inside linebacker. So, what do the media outlets do when they need to generate interest? When they need clicks and views and engagement and excitement for a draft that otherwise might feel a little bit flat? They tie the storylines to the biggest, most polarizing, most talked about franchise in all of professional sports, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, the team that everyone either loves with their whole heart or absolutely despises with every fiber of their being. You want people to care about the draft? Slap the Cowboys star on the story. You want people to click on your mock draft? Put Dallas in a trade-up scenario? You want to get the entire football world debating and arguing and generating content? Say the Cowboys are about to make a blockbuster move. It works every single time. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Every major draft prognosticator, every big-name analyst, they're all running with this because it generates attention. It generates conversation. It generates controversy. And the Cowboys, whether they like it or not, are the engine that drives NFL media coverage. Always have been. Always will be. So when you see Peter Schrager saying he's hearing Dallas wants to move up, or when you see other analysts parroting the same talking points, pay very close attention to the language they use. They say things like, "we're hearing," or "scouts around the league believe," or "sources suggest." Notice what they never say. They never say, "a source within the Dallas Cowboys told me directly." They never pin it on anyone inside the building. It's always vague, always secondhand, always coming from scouts or sources around the league. That's a massive red flag. That tells you this isn't coming from Dallas. This is coming from outside Dallas. This is the media creating a narrative and running with it because it's good for business. Now let me be clear about something. Am I saying there is absolutely zero chance the Cowboys trade up on draft night? No, I'm not saying that. Of course there's a possibility. If the right player falls to the right spot at the right price, any team in the NFL would consider moving up. That's just smart football. Maybe Dallas trades up a couple of spots from 12 to 9, something like that, where the cost isn't astronomical and you don't lose significant draft capital. That's a reasonable, realistic scenario. The Chiefs are sitting at the 9th pick, and there's a world where Kansas City might want to trade back a few spots and accumulate some extra picks. Going from 12 and 29 to 9 and 20, or something in that range, is far more realistic and far more in line with what Stephen Jones was describing. A small move up, not a massive leap that costs you everything. But these scenarios where Dallas is jumping all the way up to 6 or higher and giving up both first rounders plus additional compensation, I'm not buying it. The math doesn't add up. The strategy doesn't add up. The leaks don't add up. And the people inside the Cowboys organization don't seem to be on board with it either. Cowboys fans, I know this might not be the most exciting take. I know a lot of you want to see Dallas make a splash, want to see Jerry Jones go all in and grab the best defensive player in the draft. I get it. I understand the desire for a bold move. But sometimes the smartest move is the disciplined move. Sometimes the best thing you can do is trust your draft board, trust your scouting department, and take 2 high-quality players who can immediately contribute to your roster instead of putting all your eggs in one basket for a player who might not even be a sure thing. This Cowboys roster is closer than people think. They've added Quinnen Williams. They've added George Pickens. They've got a young core that is ready to compete. What they need now is depth. They need more bodies on the defensive side. They need players who can rotate in, who can contribute on special teams, who can develop into starters. And you know where you get those players? In the draft. With multiple picks, not by trading everything away to move up 6 spots. So as we head into draft week, I want you to keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. Don't let the media tell you what the Cowboys are going to do. Pay attention to what the people inside the building are actually saying. Pay attention to the clues. Pay attention to the patterns. And when draft night comes and Dallas is sitting right there at 12, making their pick without having traded up, remember this video. Remember that the signs were there all along. The Cowboys are not tipping their hand to the entire world. They're playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. And whatever they do on draft night, I promise you, it's going to be something nobody saw coming. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me that this trade-up narrative is media-driven nonsense? Or do you think Dallas is genuinely going to make a big move? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear from every single one of you. If you agree, just write I agree. If you disagree, write I disagree. We don't have to get disrespectful about it. We're all Cowboys fans at the end of the day. We all want the same thing. We want this team to win. We want to see that star back in the Super Bowl. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those notifications. Share this video with every Cowboys fan you know. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's go, Cowboys.